In this next section, we're going to talk about Symfony integration with Drupal 8. So Symfony is a framework. It includes a number of components that all work together to give you the foundation you need to build a PHP project. In a way, Drupal is a framework too, but it also is a CMS. The difference between a CMS and a framework is that a framework gives you a basis in code to build additional components or to build an entire application. A CMS, on the other hand, is an out-of-the-box solution for a lot of common website needs. Now, Drupal supports the developer experience much like a framework would. We have hooks to allow us to adjust the output and actions of various aspects of Drupal. We have modules that allow us to build on top of these hooks to add additional bundled functionality into Drupal. But there's still a lot of places where Drupal lacks in terms of developer support where using a framework would really have some benefits. The site that we're looking at right now, Symfony.com, is for the Symfony framework project. Now, Drupal doesn't use the entire Symfony framework. It uses some individual components that have been handpicked because they make sense inside of the context of how Drupal works. The founder of Symfony created a set of tutorials called Create Your Own Framework on top of the Symfony 2 components that walks you through what the purpose of a number of the core components are to the framework. And this next section follows this tutorial almost verbatim. It is a really good introduction, and a lot of the components that we'll cover are being used by Drupal 8 now. Now, if you want to, you can work through this tutorial online instead of watching the videos, but there's many places where there's little gaps that might get you confused for a little while, and we'll walk through everything very carefully to make sure that you have a solid grasp of what's going on before we move on to each additional step. Some of the concepts that we'll cover may also be a little bit more confusing if you're still new to object-oriented programming. So we'll talk about some of those object-oriented conventions as we go. Now, as you'll see almost right away with the first component that we use, that these components will be useful in virtually any PHP project that you work with. If you really wrap your mind around what's going on with each one of these components, then you'll start to wonder how you've made it this far without using components like these. If you don't get that feeling, then chances are you haven't quite understood what's going on with them, and hopefully as we work through the videos, you'll get a sense of their importance.